Hello everyone, this is my PARCC integration rationale. Out of the articles that were assigned, I found Are Our Kids Ready and the Changing Tide articles the most relevant. I'm currently teaching a developmental kindergarten class. My students are placed in my class because they're lacking the social emotional skills that were discussed in both of those articles. The purpose of PARCC is to assess students' skill level in core subjects that have been taught in accordance with the core curriculum content standards. My current math curriculum is aligned with the core curriculum content standards and has built-in activities meant to help my students navigate the PARCC exam. We actually have student workbooks called Getting Ready for PARCC. This makes PARCC integration, at least for math, fairly straightforward. My goal would be to have all of my students, no matter what their social, emotional, physical, or academic situations may be, successfully navigate the test. In order for my students to successfully navigate the PARCC test, they first need to achieve some basic keyboarding and computer skills. I would incorporate time for students to practice with computers. Even though a large portion of my class is exposed to 4 or 5 hours of screen time every day, their competency with their home device doesn't necessarily transfer to school devices. I see this every year when I sit little 4-year-olds in front of a desktop computer to take a computerized pre-assessment. Every one of them takes their tiny little finger and pushes on the screen to try to make the computer respond. Most of them have never even seen a mouse before. Teaching a 4-year-old to point and click is always interesting. They usually end up right-clicking and getting frustrated. Smiley face stickers on the left side of the mouse help just a little. To alleviate this problem, I would integrate the program Keyboarding Without Tears into my curriculum. I've actually been trying to get my current district to purchase a license for our kindergarten and preschool classrooms. This program allows students to play games while teaching them valuable keyboarding skills. I also found a meta site called Ask a Tech Teacher. It has a lot of age-appropriate games that could be incorporated into lessons and used as learning centers. I want to show you keyboarding without tears. It looks something like this. So, why it works, it says that it engages a non-typing hand. It teaches them how to type, basically, how to find letters and shapes, clicking and dragging. The first one looks a little like this.
Hold the first target. Then type on the new targets.
So you hold down the key and then you practice typing. But then when you make a mistake, it gives you a little click. There are also games where they have to work on their mousing skills.
Move the shape to match Matman's shape.
So that at this point they have to not only click, but drag, which is something that
Triangle
is very hard for little kids to do. So they do this a couple of times. And they're also practicing recognizing shapes while they are
Star.
learning how to use a mouse. And then I found this Ask a Tech Teacher site. It's a meta site, and it has a couple different things where there's a mouse video, which teaches them how to use the mouse, which is harder than you think it would be.
In this lesson, you will learn how to use the mouse. You can use the mouse to tell the computer what to do. Watch as I show you how. As you slide the mouse across the mouse pad, the cursor will move across the computer desktop. Move the cursor over to the icon. This is called pointing.
So those are just basic things that a lot of people don't think about teaching a kid. Then there's also games that they can play. So they click on the things that are moving. click on the bubble and it takes you somewhere else. So anyway, back to here. So my goals would be to first enhance their digital skills, like I showed, use those digital skills in class instruction, and to provide practice for the use of those digital skills. I considered the points of view from all of the articles and the videos assigned. Like I said before, I think the article about the changing tide, the effects of the Common Core state standards on early childhood, really made the most sense to me. I completely agree that standards don't always consider the whole child, and that developmental readiness should be considered before forcing a child to perform. Assumptions. I have to admit that I always assumed that I would be safe from PARCC testing. It was my assumption that standardized testing would never come to kindergarten. I was so wrong. I also always assumed that 4- and 5-year-olds would not be able to acquire the necessary keyboarding skills to navigate the complicated setup that is used by PARCC. Wrong again. I see a lot of progress with their skills. It's slow and painful, but there is progress. This integration is meant to solve the problem of kindergarten students lacking the keyboarding skills required to navigate the complicated setup of the PARCC test. I believe that practice in the form of games will allow kindergarten students to become comfortable with pointing, clicking, dragging, and typing, which are all necessary skills to successfully take the PARCC test. Outcomes. I really expect a positive outcome from the integration of keyboarding without tears and the games on the meta site askatechteacher.com. I expect both technologies will help students master the keyboarding skills that are imperative to navigate the complicated setup of the PARCC exam. I think if students are given time to practice their keyboarding skills through play, it will translate into a better testing experience when the PARCC is administered. Students will have the confidence needed to have a less stressful testing experience. I use the constructivist theory. Constructivism is a theory based on observation and scientific study about how people learn. It says that people come to their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. I think that students need to first experience keyboarding, word processing, and mousing skills, reflect on those experiences, and then apply those skills in a testing situation. I also use the learning through play model. It has been proven over and over again that young children learn best when playing. This integration would allow my students the opportunity to play and learn. The consequences and implications are as follows. As with anything in education, parents can be a huge problem when it comes to PARCC. There are a large group of parents who do not want their child to be assessed. There are other parents who do not want their student to use computers because of security issues and the risk of exposing their child to the internet. Another implication is the risk of not making accommodations for ESL learning disabled students. And finally, the biggest consequence of integrating skills to succeed with PARCC comes in the form of teaching to the test. What are we not teaching so that we have time to teach them how to take the test?